It should be noted that John Holland, apart from they build stuff real well, they've also built and recognised the social legacy of infrastructure and the commitment to ongoing pathway programs. So we love the fact there's a legacy of utility out of the road you build, the rail line, the airport, the water system, but the social legacy too, to have that Indigenous employment, women in engineering, public art, all the things that can come with a great infrastructure project, living, breathing legacy. And John Holland's at the very forefront of their industry and driving that, Joe, and I know it's a personal passion of yours. And it remiss of me not to make about Sydney Uni, of course, the other great Brownie in the room, Dr. Brian Brown, Bankstown's finest, my fellow patron on the Bankstown Poetry Slam, but now the provider, I think, quite level of scholarship for the con for a Western Sydney kid to bring the conservatorium. Most of you know might not know it's part of Sydney Uni's umbrella. I don't know all the full governance measures, Kirsten, but I'm giving the con to you, I think, appropriately. And Brian's working closely with the con to make sure that Western Sydney kids get as much exposure in that, great musicians that come forward as can. So, mate, thank you for your work again in that as well. Justin, we're going to give you an early mark. Most things that I won't fall asleep and headbutt the lectern because the Red Bull's starting to course out of my body, and I'll be back on my own human resources at this point. There is, as I said, about the PM, and I think we often don't talk about that great referendum we had and didn't work out the way a lot of us would have liked it to see. But you've got to say one thing about Anthony Albanese, who's now, he knows the polling isn't as strong as it was 18 months ago, but he's still looking real good. But a lot of that, he spent an awful lot of personal capital on that referendum. And regardless of how you voted, he didn't have to. And regardless of how you voted, no one would disagree that we need as a nation to work more closely together to end the 200 and something years scar between black and white Australia. And no one could underestimate his commitment to it. So thank you, my friend. Western Sydney didn't vote the way I encouraged them to, and I respect democracy, but I do respect the fact that you went hard early, and it would have been easy not to. I lastly, before I move a couple of things, special thanks to my team. As I said, when he called, I said, well, I'm in London, our events manager's on leave overseas, but sure, and you want it in 10 days' time. And to particularly Emma and Steph, who work with Marushka, who we brought her back from holidays to help out. Brett, who stepped in, Emma and Marushka, particularly the whole team. Thank you for moving. I can see, oh, there she is there. Emma, thank you both for your remarkable effort. One kid from Campbelltown, one from Yass. It's sort of a southern connection to drive it. And before I go, a couple of little ads I've got to do for you as I check. There you go. There's a reason I was in London. I've just wandered around London, and I'll be going back there on Sunday. The study tour we're hosting, we did this 5 years ago, where the great Barney Glover, and I wasn't here for your farewell, Barney, by the way, so take a wave, Barney. Good-looking fella over here sitting with his old table, Professor, now the new Commissioner of Skills Australia, and I'll give up a little Prime Ministerial secret. He said, I felt a bit guilty stealing him out of WSU, but he's going to do a great job for us in Skills Australia. So apologies to WSU, but George Williams is coming. But Barney was with us on the tour, as was Kirsten, and a range of people in this room who came 5 years ago as this region went to East London to see the journey they've been on for the past 40 years in urban regeneration that we've probably been doing for about 10 at some pace. And it's a remarkably similar region. In our west is their east, the other side of the tracks, traditional manufacturing home for the UK, big multicultural young population. They are there too. We're helping them redefine themselves as from London's problem to the UK's solution, just as Western Sydney's been on that journey. So that's on the first week of June, and some of you in this room are joining us on that. So thank you very much for your assistance. Straight after that, just how much the events team, we've got them working. We host in first week of September the third annual Collaborative Leadership Program, where 35 best and brightest people from Western Sydney come on an onshore tour for a week. Everything from playing basketball with the Sudanese refugee kids out of Blacktown to visiting the great Bill Cruz's food bank at Liverpool to wandering around the Clontarf Academy and seeing young Indigenous kids working at Mount Druitt High, to visiting the towering citadels of Parramatta Square, food tours of Bankstown, you name it, looking at public policy issues and social policy issues, sitting down with the elders at Derribin in Parramatta Jail and talking about a positive approach to healing and reconciliation. This is an incredible program we deliver in partnership with the state government and WSU. And if you're not sending your smartest, brightest 2IC to come along, you should get cracking because it's filling up already. And it's a remarkable program of nurturing the next leadership class for this great region. And then lastly, I think Adam's baby, and to his credit, I want to pay tribute to the second greatest footballer to come out of Fairfield. They reckon Harry Kewell was good. Adam Cool's even better than Harry Kewell. But to his credit, to his team to pull this gig off, but he's also driving this. We're doing our bit for the crisis Prime Minister. We're going back in the 50th anniversary of Tommy Uran. He's planned for Campbelltown. We're hosting in Campbelltown the South West Sydney Housing Summit. We're working with people like Kirsten Fishburne's one of our lead speakers, the great Kirsten, a one-woman housing crisis solver in New South Wales. If you've got an application, she'll take them at the table. You can accept full DA applications here. What she's here. Every project's iconic. Every project will change the world within. But we're doing our bit to try and drive to make sure. And I take the words of the PM. We're certainly hopeful that come election time, we'll be looking strongly for that metro extension commitments from state and federal government. We can't expect places like Campbelltown to take the lead and carry the burden, or the Fairfields or the Blacktowns or the Penriths and Parramatta's to play their part in a booming, growing Australia by welcoming its population growth and not giving them at least a proportionate share of the infrastructure funding and social capital to pay for that. So we were doing our best of that for them. So that's enough of an ad. It's time for me to go and lie down somewhere. Can I, in closing, thank all of you. You responded very quickly too. The PM said, I'm proud he said, dialogue's things that make things happen. Western Sydney makes things happen. Western Sydney is where we used to make things, and we want to make things again. And the support for the Future Made at Home, quote, brackets, in Western Sydney policy, we're very supportive of. A recommitment from the federal government to the infrastructure base we need across Western Sydney to do that, we're very welcoming of. And an ongoing commitment from a bloke who you might have heard grew up in public housing, take the Sally Situ example before, not forgetting that background, is working hard to make sure other people can grow up in housing that is safe, approximate to where they live, near good jobs, with good amenity, and in a partnership mode between three state levels of government and the private sector, we can all get this done. We can look forward to a better, brighter housing future and a better, brighter manufacturing future and a Western Sydney that can get everything done. Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you, sponsors. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. Thank you.